What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host Donovan Quick, and today we're going to be going over some things that happened in Orlando between the owners meeting, the NFL rule changes, and Mike McDaniel meeting with the media. Right? So first things first, what the title's kind of leaning towards, stepping down. Is Mike McDaniel going to be giving up play calling? He discussed this in his media availability today. He said he's thought long and hard this offseason about giving up play calling. And at the beginning of the offseason, it's pretty much as the season ended, if you were here, you know I went on a rant that I think he needs to give up play calling. I was just over how bad it was between the Baltimore game, the Bills game, and the Chiefs game to end the season. I was just completely over the lack of adjustments, the in-game adjustments, and the situational play calling. I was just completely over it, right? And look, there's many things that you can attest certain play calls to, like how bad the offensive line was at the end of the year with 3 or 4 backups at a time. There's maybe Tua's limitation. There was maybe the weather for the Chiefs game. Who knows? That is besides my point here. I was so livid. But at that time, I also thought Frank Smith was in the driver's seat to get the head coaching job for Carolina. That obviously didn't work out. And I'm not ready to be giving play calling duties to Frank Smith just yet. I thought I was going to be giving it to Darrell Bevell, who has worked with Tua for the last few seasons. And look, they have a really good connection. They're like this. Given McDaniel and Tua are kind of like that too, but there's so many more things that McDaniel has to deal with that, you know, he can't be with Tua all the time. Like Bevell has been the last few seasons, so he knows Tua through and through. He knows what he likes, knows what he doesn't like, knows kind of like what has a feel for maybe what he's thinking during these plays that maybe McDaniel doesn't necessarily have that, right? But I'm also not going to bypass Frank Smith, who is a future head coach in this league, to give it to Darrell Bevell. That just I don't really sit too good with me personally on like a, you know, ladder, right? You're like, okay, you have head coach, you have OC, then you have QB coach. Do I really want to bypass? How does that look, right? How does that look for our OC? How does it look for how we as an organization are? I don't necessarily like that. But on the other hand, I do like how McDaniel has thought about it, right? If we're going into this really deeply, I like how McDaniel has thought about, okay, damn, my play calling was shit. So I need to go and I need to get better, or I need to hand this off. And there is absolutely no one on this roster besides our running backs coach, Eric Studesville, who has called plays in the NFL before. And Studesville was our co-offensive coordinator when Brian Flores was here. So no, we don't really have someone that's called good plays on this roster, on this staff. So are we going to go with the guy who's gotten better every year, given it was the second year, so not really much to get better on? Or are we going with someone that has never called plays before, because you're not giving it to Studesville? And yeah, guys, I think we made the right decision here. I think McDaniel made the right decision here. But I do like how he's addressed it. And he's like, look, I was bad, but I'm going to get better. And now he has to get better because this is his job. And I think also the reality of it is that the best thing for the Dolphins is for McDaniel to get better and for McDaniel to be successful as a play caller. Because if you look at all the other teams in the league that are really successful, right? They either have a really good offensive coordinator or a really good head coach who is an offensive mind, who also calls plays, right? You go across Sean McVay, Kevin Stefanski, Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan, there's a few more I'm thinking of that I can't spit their names out right now. But you go down that list, and it's like, okay, that's a lot of good play callers that are also head coaches. You're not very often going to get Ben Johnsons who stay for multiple years and turn down head coaching jobs to stay as offensive coordinator. You're not going to have that. You're going to have guys like Dave Canales who have one good year of play calling and then get offered a head coaching job. He was offensive coordinator for 1 year, called plays for 1 year. Boom, head coach of the Carolina Panthers. You have over on the Texans side, their offensive coordinator, Slowick, brother of our old linebackers coach, or he's still on the staff, but not the linebackers coach anymore. He was offered multiple jobs this offseason. He turned them down. It was his first year as a play caller. That's not going to happen next offseason. You're not going to have guys that just stick around if they're really good offensive coordinators, they're really good play callers. So for the long run, it is better for Mike McDaniel to have the ability to call plays, regardless of who's under center. If it's Tua, great. If it's not, whatever. But what we don't need is a situation kind of like the Eagles, where Shane Steichen leaves the Colts, or at least to the Colts, and then you bring in someone else. I forgot who they brought in last offseason, and he was horrible. That offense was horrible. Like, compared to what it was the year before, how many tush pushes did they run? They literally tush pushed Jason Kelce into retirement. Like, that team wasn't bad, but losing both of his coordinators definitely showed. And you relied way too heavily on one play. You look back at last season versus the year before that, it was completely different with the Eagles between how they ran plays. It was so much better the year prior. We don't need that here in Miami. The best scenario would be for Mike McDaniel to be able to call the plays. And I have faith, because you have to have faith at this point, because if you don't, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to just dig your own grave. You're going to stress yourself out needlessly. And look, Mike McDaniel, he's shown us over and over and over again that he's going to get better. He's going to self-analyze, and he's going to critique himself to a T. The fact that he's openly saying that he was so bad at play calling that he was considering giving it up, or that it wasn't to the standard that the team needed to be, that he was considering to give it up. Love it. Love it. I love to see that in a head coach. On to the next thing. We offered Odell Beckham Jr. a contract per Mike McDaniel. This one I don't know how I feel about, so let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about Odell possibly being our wide receiver 3. Because I look at it like, look, he could be a really good wide receiver 3. He's going to be really expensive. He had an $18 million contract last year with the Ravens. And then this year, he was signed on to be their number 2 weapon. Now he might be 4, 5, 6, 7 for us, because you go down the list, you got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you got Jonnu, you got A-Chain, you got Mostert. He could be way down that list, but we do need a number 3 receiver. I love Eric Uzukama. We still need a number 3 receiver. Go down that list further. Who's there? Tyler Boyd. He's going to get a big contract. It seems like also the Dolphins have been a little bit stingy. And as they should, personally, in my opinion, with how good this class is, this particular wide receiver class, if Adonai Mitchell is there at 21 or Bryant Thomas Jr. is there at 21, you're talking about someone that's over 6'3". I believe both of them are 6'4". I'm not 100% sure. They both run sub 4.4. They both have really good hands. They both have excellent route running ability. They both can go up and get a ball. They both have just excellent separation. Now, given it's college, whatever. You look at the tape, they both burned Kool-Aid McKinstry, who is my favorite corner in this class. Look, the reality of the situation, I know I've said this a lot, so bear with me. Tyreek Hill or Waddle are gone in 2 years. Waddle is entering the 4th year of his contract, his rookie contract. He has a 5th-year option after that, which I believe the Dolphins have to pick it up this offseason. So they have to pick up his 5th-year option, and then they have to give him a contract extension. With Tyreek Hill, he's in his 30s. How much better can his body hold up? We saw he was really injured at the end of last season. Do you want to continue to pay a 30-something-year-old receiver $30 million a year? Way I looked at it, the cap situation next year, we could save $22 million if with a post-June 1st cut. $11 million against the cap, but save $22 million if we were to cut him post-June 1st next year. You draft a wide receiver in the 1st round that can develop into that, gives you a really solid number 3 right now, gives you the money stability, because you're not going to be getting a wide receiver 3 for cheaper than a 1st round pick in the NFL draft. It's just not happening, right? So to be able to get one of those guys, even a 2nd round pick, like there's guys like Ladd McConkey, Pearsall from Florida. There's a whole load of wide receivers in this class that I would take in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. Adonai Mitchell and Brian Thomas Jr. being the first top 2 I would have for this system. That's just me. I don't know. It would bring that veteran presence. He was supposed to be in Miami back when Jarvis was here. Oh well. You know, would really love Odell, but if you're telling me if I had to choose between Odell, Brian Thomas Jr., and Adonai Mitchell, I'm probably taking the 2 rookies. Just because of money and overall talent and future, looking at the future. Because as good as Odell is, he's definitely going to be the best wide receiver 3, and this would give us the best wide receiver core in the league. Just is what it is. So rule changes to go over with the NFL. Now you no longer have to get your first 2 challenges correct in order to get your 3rd challenge. You just need one of your first 2 challenges to be correct, and you get rewarded a 3rd challenge. That's the rule change proposed by Dan Campbell and Detroit. The other one, the major one, is, which a lot of people are hating on, hip drop tackles, particularly the swivel hip drop tackles, have now been banned from the NFL. And they said it was up significantly last year. I think they said there was over 250 incidences, 15 of which caused a major injury to a player. And I can't really say that I'm against it, but I can't really say I'm for it, because the videos that they showed that were like penalties, I'm like, well, I'm sorry, how else do you want them to tackle them? But at the same time, there's certain ones where it's very obvious that you're just putting your weight on the back of their legs, and that can cause a serious injury, like what happened to Mark Andrews last year. Achane missed time because of that. It caused a knee injury to Achane. Tyreek and Waddle both got rolled up on that same way. I think Waddle's was a horse collar, though, technically. But, you know, guys are getting injured all the time. Kenyon Drake back in 2021 missed a quarter of the season due to an ankle injury caused by a hip drop tackle, and he's been an advocate for trying to get it banned. Ryan Tannehill last year, I'm just naming former Dolphins because I follow him still, but Ryan Tannehill last year, ankle injury because of a hip drop tackle. It's going to be really hard to call, but once it's down, I believe it's going to be a really rough first year, maybe 2 years. After that, though, seeing better tackling, it's going to be a lot more offense, I will say, but hopefully a lot less injuries. That's going to help our fantasy squads. It's going to help our actual squads. I know Javon Holland's not a fan of it. I'm wearing his jersey right now. That just is what it is. All right, let me know what you guys think about the video in the comments below about Mike McDaniel. Do you want him to keep play calling? Let it go. Odell, do you want to sign him? Not sign him? Do you want to draft a receiver first, second round, or not draft a receiver at all? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you guys think about the new NFL rules. Deuces.